Hey everyone, welcome back to another bonus alpha video. Today we're going to be doing a sports face segment. It's just me, Will, today, but basically we're going to be doing an off-season recap video where we talk about the winners and losers of free agency, some teams who created a bright future for themselves through the draft or through free agency or just trades, and some teams who went from playoff teams to contenders through the off-season. So let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the winners and losers of free agency. I'm really just going to say who I thought won free agency and who I thought lost free agency. So the winner for me was the Brooklyn Nets, and I know really everyone should know that it's the Pelicans, but I want to talk about the Pelicans a little bit later in a different topic. So for me, the next best people would be the Brooklyn Nets, and that's because a lot of people were thinking that that Kyrie and Kevin Durant, the two biggest free agents other than Kawhi, would be going to the New York Knicks. And what they then there's speculation of Kyrie going to the Nets, and then to play with D'Angelo Russell. But then when both Kyrie and KD both went there, it was a surprise to some people, and especially to me. So I thought that them being like sneaky like that, and being able to get those two guys who were some of the best guys in free agency to pick up, that was really good of them to do, and that's why I think they won free agency. So the losers for free agency for me were the Charlotte Hornets, and that's because they lost their two best players in Kemba Walker and Jeremy Lamb, and they didn't even offer Kemba Walker the max contract, so they really didn't. And then in return for not even getting that, they brought in Terry Rozier, who did help lead the Celtics to the Western Conference Finals. But other than that, he's been sitting behind Kyrie Irving all year, and that's just been tough for him. So if he does prove himself to be worthy of the contract that they gave him, which was absurdly high to a lot of people, then good for them. But still, they have nothing else to pair him with. If he does turn out to be some sort of a star, so they just really didn't do anything well. They haven't drafted one in a long time, and they didn't play their rookie PJ Washington this offseason. Not this offseason, in summer league. So that was so we don't really know what we're going to see from him. He was good in college, but we don't know how that will translate to the NBA. So yeah. So the next topic is we're going to be looking at teams who created a bright future for themselves, and we're obviously going to start with the New Orleans Pelicans. And not only did they draft well, they picked up some good people, and they signed some good people in free agency. But we'll start with the Anthony Davis trade, where they got some really good young players. They got some good young players in Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram. They also got Josh Hart, and we'll see what he can do with them on a new team, new situation. But Brandon Ingram, who was having a really good season before he got injured, and Lonzo Ball, who is a very good facilitator and I think will thrive playing with Zion Williamson, and Jackson Hayes, who's another guy they drafted. He flew kind of under the radar in college, but I know about him through some videos that I watched about the draft. They also picked up Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who I don't know much about, but I think he played pretty well in Summer League. So we'll see what happens for him. They also have a lot of veterans. They brought in veterans, J.J. Redick and Derek Favors, and they have Drew Holiday to help lead that team through veteranship, I guess. But so yeah, that team looks really good for the future. and that's why I think they're the number one team with a really bright future. So my next one was the Grizzlies, who also drafted well, picking up John Morant and Summer League MVP Brendan Clark, who again won Summer League MVP, so he's going to be promising. John Morant, who is a point guard, as he says, and I think he's a point guard. He's really good. So coming into the league right away, I think they'll both show promising, like careers or rookie seasons. They'll both show promising rookie seasons, and they also have young players in Jaren Jackson Jr. They have Jonas Valanciunas, who is not very young at all. I mean, not very old at all. They have other young players. Overall, they're just a young team, and they'll be able to develop together, and they have a bright future. The next is the Thunder, who had a crazy offseason after free agency. First losing Paul George, then trading Russell Westbrook. So that was pretty crazy for them. But in the Paul George trade, I think they got set up for a really great future with a bunch of draft picks. And then getting rid of Russell Westbrook, who I think was a good move in terms of having him get out of there so you can go on full rebuild mode. You do have Chris Paul, but he's a good veteran. I'm just trying to look at the bright side because there really isn't one. But he's a good veteran to help lead Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who would be a good guy to develop into a guy to lead your team. But they have a bunch of draft picks, so long as they use them wisely, they'll be able to create a great roster for the future. And the final team I'm going to talk about with a bright future, I think, is the Golden State Warriors. So it's not like as much of a future as the other three teams I talked about, but when losing Kevin Durant, they got back D'Angelo Russell. And I still don't think that they're out, because Kawhi Leonard, who is 6'7", is playing small forward, and Klay Thompson, who's listed at 6'7", can also run small forward. So running Steph, D'Angelo, and Klay will work, and I'm confident that it will. And they also just signed Draymond Green not too long ago to an extension. So they have that core wrapped up for the next few years. And I think they have a chance next season to really make a bounce. And I don't think that the dynasty's over. And I think they have a good chance. But the main thing is D'Angelo Russell is a young piece. And as Klay, Steph, and Draymond all start aging, they'll have D'Angelo Russell to keep and build around as a centerpiece. He'll be getting into his prime, so they can focus on Steve Kerr, whoever's coaching them, can focus on building around D'Angelo Russell. So that was a really good pickup for them, and shout out to Kevin Durant for doing that for them, because it was a sign and trade technically for D'Angelo Russell, so that was great. So our third topic is going to be teams who went from playoff locks to contenders during free agency, through the draft, or making trades. So the first team is the Utah Jazz, and they picked up this offseason Mike Conley and Bojan Bogdanovic, who are two great assets on the offensive side of the ball and on the defensive side of the ball, especially Mike Conley, bringing more defense to that front court. And the Bojan Bogdanovic coming from a very good defensive Pacers team. And he also took a big step up when Victor Oladipo got hurt, being the Pacers' main scorer. So he's going to help the Jazz a lot scoring-wise, along with Mike Conley, who is just overall a much better point guard than they had in Ricky Rubio. So I think that the Jazz will be can really make a run in the playoffs if everything is put together right and everyone plays right. I think they could make an upset. in the playoffs if they really wanted to. So the next team is the Rockets, and they just made one trade, and that was getting Russell Westbrook from the Thunder for Chris Paul. And it was a really great move because the Rockets are now bringing in someone who is more connected, has a better friendship with James Harden. So a lot of people think that will bring out the side that we want to see from Russell Westbrook for him to succeed, because they're friends and all that. And then the thing with Chris Paul that just wasn't working out. There was some tension between James Harden and Chris Paul. I'm not really sure what sparked it, but there was tension there, and that was not good for the team. So bringing in a guy like Russell Westbrook, who can carry a load if James Harden gets tired or possibly injured, and vice versa for Russell Westbrook. So the third team is the Los Angeles Clippers, who picked up Kawhi Leonard in free agency, which was, I think a lot of people are expecting that. But towards the end, there was the debate between whether he stays in Toronto, he goes to the Clippers, or Lakers. He ended up going to the Clippers in a really great fashion. Really great fashion. Picking up Paul George. So I say really great fashion because nobody knew where he was going. He made it really undecided, and everyone thought that he could still go to the other places, and he says that he could have gone there. But by going to the Clippers, he sets back the Lakers from getting some of those bigger free agents like JJ Redick, who could add a lot of shooting to that team. Instead, him going to the Pelicans, so they lose out on an asset. The Lakers lose out on an asset. So it was great playing by him. He also recruits Paul George, who will help him, and I think will allow them to win the championship, and I guess make it to the finals and win the championship, because I don't think there's a team out there that is good enough to stop them. And then the defense on that team is crazy. Kawhi Leonard, I think, is the best defender in the league. Paul George, another great defender, MVP caliber, as we saw nominated last season. And Patrick Beverley, who is probably the best defensive point guard in the league. So overall, that team is great defensively. And I think they're set to win the championship this year. So the final team is the 76ers. They didn't do too much, but I think the pickup of Al Horford is great, because now they have the one guy who can stop Joel Embiid, and they also have the one guy who gives Giannis the most trouble scoring the ball. So he's one of the best defensive big men to have there. And now they have the Giannis stopper, I guess. There really is no stopping us. He's really good at slowing down Giannis, Al Horford. So that was a great pickup. And they also picked up Josh Richardson and kept Tobias Harris. I'm not sure. So they lost Jimmy Butler, but they got Josh Richardson in return, who's a great young star who can turn into something. Has similar attributes to Jimmy Butler. But now they have Tobias Harris signed to a contract. The only thing that we're looking to see that is questioned about that team is Ben Simmons and what he turns into next season. Thank you everyone for watching. If you like this video, be sure to leave it a like. Subscribe if you're new. We do videos like this one, and we also do battle videos. Share this video with your friends so you can help our channel grow. And leave a comment down below with videos you'd like to see in the future. It's been Will. Peace.